But phone shops aren't the only solution. Vodacom's rival operator, MTN, has developed their own system. MTN is owned by an independent consortium of black South African companies and foreign investors. They're critical of Vodacom and its phone shops, claiming their own system is better.
I'm on cellular.
In terms of our community service obligation, the two chosen routes are a payphone route and a phone shop route. The difference between the two, we believe, is that the payphone route is more accessible by using existing places of business as installations, and at those places of business having vendors who sell prepaid debit cards. Those prepaid debit cards are used by the user on the phone. What it does is that there is no coin in the phone. There's no temptation to vandalize the phone or steal from the phone. That's the one thing. The other thing is that the phone is accessible 24 hours a day, which is important. In terms of the way the phone shops work, and my understanding is that a lot of them are containerized, and so at the end of the day, the guy's going to close up shop and go home. So those phones are effectively out of range. And so that is one of the big differences that we have. The other, I think, advantage of our system is that the customer is able to receive calls. He's able to take incoming calls. In other words, he will advise the user on the other side what his phone number is and can take incoming calls. And in fact, this constitutes a third of our traffic. And I don't believe this is possible on the other system.
We have in this area something like 10 phones scattered in and around this area in places like shops, clinics, schools, tuck shops, so that people can have easy access to them. There are no services. There isn't a police station, there isn't a hospital, that type of thing. Now, if somebody gets ill or somebody gets knocked down by a car, clearly you can go to the phone, and that has proved to be helpful to the communities.
But the internal rivalries of MTN and Vodacom only matter to the companies. In rural areas and townships alike, what's important is for people to have access to telephones where there was no access before.
Look, it hasn't been as easy as I may be sounding about it, but I think it's from the experience of seeing the change in people's lives that comes up and boils over, and you get fairly excited about it. It has been quite a learning curve that I think we just about hit the top now.
But phone shops might provide much more. Bringing telephones to the people of South Africa is only the beginning.
The two central goals that we put into place was first building a digital fiber optic, high-speed broadband backbone that will link every city and town in our country, and that will be in place in a year's time. The second was extending universal service, so an obligation on them to deliver 3 million new lines over the next 5 to 6 years, and to connect every school, village, clinic, police station, community center, and post office in the country. So in a sense, creating that network and almost a central nervous system so that we are able to take the most modern applications, for example, telemedicine and distance education, to the remotest locations in our country.
We put in PCs, as you can see. We also have the fax facilities. We also put in a photocopier, which the machine is at the back there. You can't believe this. Overnight, it just turned a squatter area into, like any other place, in the middle of London would be this. You'd get exactly the same sort of service that you're getting here. So when one looks at that, he finds that really that brought in quite a big change. Now, we also got here facilities for email and internet, but in all honesty, we haven't used those because I didn't even know what an email was when they started the thing. But the beauty about it is that the facility is there.
Well, the phone shops were an earlier version of what we now call a telecenter, in that knowing that the technology on cellular in the more developed parts of the world had been what addressed the needs of the affluent and powerful. and people who already probably had phones at home in their cars, as well as phone lines for the internet and the email, etc. The question was, how could we take the most modern technology and adapt it to conditions in our country that address some of our policy priorities?
The measure of the government's success will be whether these children will grow up using email, whether they'll feel at home charting a course through the World Wide Web. But in most townships, they're still struggling with basic needs. It's a balance of extremes.
We do have electricity, we have running water and sewage. We have a slight problem with a telephone. We have a wire that comes into the school, but every now and then it snaps. We don't know, maybe it could be vandalizing around here. Because each time it's fixed, the following day it's not working. So I've given up on it. So we use the phones up the road, the fax and everything from Vodacom up the road. We would like to have a computer, a fax, for the children to get used to using the computer. Because when they go to school and when they start looking for work, every company wants you to be computer literate. And that's important for schools at an early age to expose the children to the type of life that they have to live earlier in their adulthood.
The trouble is, computers demand a lot of money, which the government is unwilling or unable to spend.
We got a few thousand from the government a few months ago, but we are not allowed to use it for computation or anything. It was just to augment all the equipment that we did not have. They are only interested in what benefits the child directly, as much as computer benefits the children, but they feel they cannot afford it now.
Thank you.